How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of FSI's NFL Showdown Preview Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, bringing you guys another Sunday night Showdown preview. We have the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game will be in Tampa Bay, coming off of the heels of Hurricane Ian. I know there was a lot of speculation about this changing site, but the game will be played in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady already coming out for the state of Florida, saying how he wants to perform well for the people going through the hard times of Hurricane Ian, and also our shout out and thoughts for them, for the people that are affected by this hurricane. Hopefully they get to the correct emergency medical response that they need, or shelter, or anything that they need. Hopefully they are getting the help they deserve. All right, but we are talking a little bit about Showdown here, coming off of a decent 1 p.m. slate of games. Sacked a lot of that Seattle and Detroit game. I'm on the wrong side of the Falcons outcome. They really turned it up on the rushing side of things. I really had a lot of Pitts in London that just did not work out, but I did have some Chubb, as you can see, sporting the Browns colors. Didn't get it done today, but we'll have that. We're not the best team right now, but I digress. All right, let's get into it. We're talking Sunday night Showdown, and when you have a showdown format like this, where you have a ton of studs, you want to throw in a sprinkle of the fullback out of the backfield for a 1-yard TD, or the backup tight end. There's a lot of different strategies that go into a major stud slate, and that's kind of what we have here with the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Fournette, Brady, Evans. I mean, we got Godwin expected to play, Julio Jones expected to play, Russell Gage is expected to play. So there's a lot of different routes you can take this, but realistically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the game in itself, because I feel like that's the more important part of this, and the chips kind of fall where they may. This is going to be a slower game than people realize. I think there's going to be a lot of running the ball, a lot of controlling the line of scrimmage, and I think there's going to be a big field position battle when it comes to a game like this. Tampa Bay does really well limiting opponents on their yards, and what we saw with Kansas City, they struggle to get yards in bulk. They don't have that Tyreek Hill that takes the top off of the defense, and everyone knows they're trying to throw underneath. And until they can figure out that bomber that's going to be down the field catching, 30, 40-yard touchdowns, this offense is kind of limited, because they aren't a power run game with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Tampa Bay really good up front, really good in the front seven. This could be a more defensive battle than people anticipate. That being said, with Kansas City also being pretty good defensively this year, I kind of like Fournette. So I'm going to go with opportunity. I think opportunity is the big way to handle this slate. I think that you're going to have Kelce with double-digit targets, so he's always safe. But I think Fournette gives you a little bit of salary relief when it comes to the captain position. And I think he has some more of the touchdown upside in this game. Although he hasn't scored yet this year, I think all that regression turns into some progression today. And I think Fournette gets in the end zone multiple times. Now, we know this is a rematch of Super Bowl. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of this off the top of my head? Was it Super Bowl 40? No. 2000 and was it last year? No, it wasn't last year, was it? No, it was 2 years ago. Forgive me here as I stumble through this. Yes, it was Gronk, Brady. Tampa Bay won it in Tampa Bay against the Chiefs. You're right, 31-9. They controlled it. They got to the quarterback. I remember. All right. It's all coming back to me. If you remember in that game, I believe it was Fournette who kind of dominated this game from the ground. I know Gronkowski was a big part of it. Yeah, 89 yards and a touchdown for Fournette. Gronkowski leading the way, but Fournette also had 4 catches for 46 yards in that game. Kelce 10 for 133. So I think it's really right here. Like, I think this is going to be some of the chalkier builds of the slate. You can interchange these three here, and then they're just going to throw a couple of darts down in the 4K range. I certainly don't mind Ryan Suckup at 4K. I think that's a really strong play. I think he's going to be live for a couple of field goals in this matchup. I don't think weather is a factor with the hurricane already passing through. I think Tampa Bay's defense is kind of live too. You know, what we saw in that Super Bowl, getting to the quarterback, making him rush. I think a defense like this, where you can get a couple of, sacks and a couple of, maybe interceptions, anyone that's going to throw the ball over, 30 plus times are live to get sacks, get interceptions, forced fumbles. So I think that's kind of a route you can take for your lineups. And if you didn't want to play Travis Kelce, then you could throw in someone like Valdez-Scantling, someone that can throw off the top of the defense. He is listed questionable, but he is expected to play. I think he's like kind of the deep threat you can look to. I worry about someone like Juju Smith-Schuster being locked down in the slot. This is a really tough defense. I don't really have much interest in Edwards-Helaire. We saw it with the Colts matchup last week. He had 7 carries for 6 yards at one point. He just got lucky with a touchdown. I think Mike Evans is a good play here, coming back off the 1-game suspension. If you wanted to be different and go Brady as your captain, then you could throw players like Evans, and then maybe a Cameron Brate touchdown or something like that. There you go. You get another 5K. You got some room here to make these builds work. I think this is really the kind of lineup construction you want to have. Certainly, you can go Travis Kelce or Patrick Mahomes in the captain slot. I'm obviously not going to go against something like that, but I think these are some of the kind of things you need to be looking at. I don't love Godwin in this game. I think he's going to be limited. I haven't read too much into what to expect from him. I think they're just going to kind of throw multiple receivers out there at different times with how banged up everyone is. There's a good possibility he's not even active in this game. I do think Julio and Gage will play. Gage for sure. Julio is always a question mark, but with these 4 here, I think other than Evans, I think Godwin, Jones, Gage, I think they all get rotated in and out. Beasley, maybe. I don't have much interest in him and his price tag at 4,800. Noah Gray, I don't mind him as a punt play, as a backup tight end. The coach, Leftwich, did mention that he wanted to get Rachaad White some touches. I feel like we should mention that. It didn't really happen in week 3, but he had mentioned it earlier in practice this week that he wanted to get him more involved, kind of keep Fournette spelled a little bit, as we saw last year with Ronald Jones in the past. When you get him some time off the field, when he's a little bit more fresher, he's a little bit more effective. So maybe they do go to White a little bit. And if you wanted to throw him as a deep punt option. And of course, if Valdez-Scantling is out, I like Justin Watson at $800. I think he's a strong play. We saw him get a little bit involved in that Chargers game on Thursday night when they had some injuries to their wide receiving core. So I'm not really reading much into the Ronald Jones revenge game. He's had an illness. He might be inactive. It might not even see the field. So I'm not really getting into his time and what he might do for the team. So just kind of recap everything. I think Rachaad White is a decent flyer. Watson, if Valdez-Scantling's out. Noah Gray as a deep flyer. I think the Bucs D, Suckup, I think they're really strong plays. I don't think you could go wrong with Cameron Brate in a matchup like this. As well, we saw him go 6 for 52 with 10 points. I think they're finally starting to see him on the field at times. And then try to be different with captain and try to play out a script with Leonard Fournette, maybe Mike Evans, and Tom Brady. It's really concentrated points from the Tampa Bay offense right now, and I'm not shy to play both defenses in a matchup like this where everyone expects it to be a shootout. I think it could be more of a defensive, slow game, and they might get there in the value on points. All right, that'll wrap things up. If you guys have any questions on today's matchup, please comment below. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47 and like this video. You can follow us on our Discord channel at FSI_DFS on Twitter or on our website, FSIDFS.com. All right, everyone, enjoy Sunday Night Football, and yeah, have a good weekend.